Hello, everybody. We had so many people RSVP for this, given that we started marketing this about a week out because this is such an important topic. We're super excited to welcome you all here. For sake of time, we are going to get started, but I am Abby Rodriguez. I am the founder of Tastemaker Conference. And today we have a very special webinar with Susie Bulloch of Hey Girl Hey. We will be talking about from idea to income, all about how to make your own product. I will let Susie get into the details of this as we start this conversation, but as we know, there is a lot of importance and information going around about, future proofing your business and not fully relying on, just Google and relying on SEO and all those other things that are important part of a creator business, and really starting to give you resources and ideas to help your business get to the next place. And this is one of them. So welcome, Susie from Hey Girl Hey. She's the barbecue brain behind the Hey Girl Hey website. Her passion for smoked meats developing fun new recipes has landed her on the Food Network, cooking turkeys with Shaq. She has a couple of Guinness World Records. Today, she is spilling the about building a thriving food product business and sharing her journey of creating award-winning barbecue rubs and sauces. So in our conversation today, like I said, she will shed light on the highs and lows of the product making process, her expert advice and insight, and how that works in tandem with her recipe website. So hi, Susie, welcome.
Hi, guys. I'm so excited. I'm like typing in the chat. I'm seeing everybody's names pop up on the list of people that I know and a bunch of you guys that I have not met yet. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an intro, a little bit of background on who I am and what I do. I've been in the blogging online content creation world for over 15 years now. At this point, I started as a VA, essentially helping write grocery store coupon matchups for a deal blogger back when, do you guys remember extreme couponing? I was partly responsible for that whole experience. And then rolled that into a job developing recipes online for a company that manufactured grills and smokers. And that's where I really fell in love with barbecue. I was already obsessed with reading food blogs at that point. I was a really prolific cook. But that's when barbecue kind of like lightning struck. And that's where I found my sweet spot. I wrote for this company for a couple of years and a couple other brands as well before starting heygrillhey.com. That's where I post all of my barbecue and grilling recipes. I really focus on kind of the beginner backyard cook and helping people bridge the gap between wanting to cook more outside, but not really knowing how. So it's recipes, but it's a lot of educational pieces. We do some product reviews as well. And then, of course, all of the things that are tied to the food blog, which is the social media, the YouTube, all of those fun things. In conjunction with that, we also still it exists, not offered, but I built out a subscription-based business with digital products and exclusive video content, kind of like a Patreon. It's called The Grill Squad, and also rolled out a physical product company. And we have done everything from barbecue seasonings and sauces to barbecue and grilling tools to collaborative products with other brands. So we've kind of run the gamut on not just the digital media space, but also digital products and physical products. So we're going to be talking a lot about physical products today, and I will just spill all of my guts on everything that I've learned over the last 4 to 5 years of building out this product company. And, you guys can take hopefully some things away that will help you either in making a decision to pursue a physical product company or really give you a good foundation to start working towards that goal if that's something you're interested in.
Yes, we're so excited to dive into all of this. Really quick though, before we get into the information, we always like to have conversation going on the side. So drop your name in the chat, where you're from, tuning in from, and your questions as they come in, because we want this to be a conversational piece. While you are all muted, we want to make sure that the chat is going so that we can hear what your concerns are, what your questions are, what your pain points are, because this is a really important part of, like I said before, and what Susie's saying, of building out your business, your creator business, both in the digital and the physical space. And we are really invested in that. We're going to the Fancy Food Show. We're co-locating with them next year. More on that to come at the end of all of this too, but really getting you thinking about that lens of things for your business. So Love to hear those thoughts and comments. Look at all these people tuning
I
in from all over
know.
the place. Tennessee, Oklahoma, New York. I love it. Okay, Susie,
Yes.
first question for you. So you gave us a little rundown on how you got here, the very, very quick rapid fire version of it. But what exactly was the moment for you when you were inspired to create your own line of food products? Like, how did you envision complementing this into the Hey Girl Hey brand and the recipes you were already creating? Like, what was that big aha moment for you?
So I started as a food blog and my goal was to be a food blogger. As soon as I realized that I could generate revenue from, advertising, sponsorships, affiliates, I feel like I'd kind of tapped those channels. Not that I had maximized them. I didn't have the most traffic in the world. I didn't have all of the affiliate income, and I probably could have focused laser on one of those things and grown that rapid fire. But I have professional ADD and
Me
an
too.
inability to laser focus on anything. So I really got into the ad revenue thing and SEO. I really got into the affiliate thing. I really got into all of this. And kind of started going, okay, well, what other ways can we generate revenue online? It was all fascinating to me. It was all interesting to me. So that's what led me down the path of digital products. And so we started with a couple of ebooks, and then we started with our exclusive membership, subscription based site with additional videos and, exclusive information. And then I kind of worked my way into physical product. It wasn't an overnight thing. I really had been practicing selling things online because that is a skill set that I didn't possess was actually selling things. I could give you free information and free recipes all day long, but actually training my audience to be a buying audience and to establish that transactional relationship took a little while. So I dipped my toes in with the digital products, realized I had a really great supportive audience. I had a lot of fans who were willing to play that transactional game with me.
Mhm.
And once they started requesting physical products, is when I said, oh, well, maybe this is a logical next step. I had a recipe for my sweet rub seasoning. It's
Mhm.
just brown sugar based, very classic barbecue seasoning that I put on my website. It was one of my first viral pieces of content. And one of the reasons being is everybody kept the secret. Nobody shared their barbecue seasoning. Barbecue was like there's so much information about barbecue online now, but a
Mhm.
decade ago it was like secret. Don't
Yeah.
don't share your recipe. It was
Yeah.
like grandpa went to his grave with his sweet rub recipe. So sharing that online, I started to gain a lot of followers who were like, wow, I love this. Also, I'm making it a bucket load at a time. Can you please just bottle this and make my life easier? So I started with 3 dry rub seasonings, the sweet rub kind of being the landmark seasoning. And it really did come at the request of my audience. It wasn't something that I had initially looked into doing because I didn't know how. I knew it was going to cost me money to get off the ground, and I had no experience or expertise in physical products whatsoever. But people kept asking, and every time they would ask, I would send a screenshot of it to my husband, who in his prior life before joining Hey Girl Hey was an auditor. He said, I never want a physical product company because I do not want to track inventory. Please don't make me do this. So I just kept sending him screenshots, and he's finally like, you might actually have an opportunity here to really do something. If there's this much interest from people just asking out of the blue without any incentive or anything like that. So that's how I, jumped into the pool with a physical product company. And now it's become, in tandem with the recipe website, a really major revenue stream for us. My goal next year is that we're making just as much from the product company as we are from the ad revenue and affiliate stuff on the website itself. But it's been several years to get to that point. So I think for you guys at home, products can be as much or as little as you want them to be based on your time and effort. Uh, we started just to see if it would work. And we kind of took a slower path to growing and development. And to be able to be here a few years later to where this is a company that on its own could support my family and support my team is really like something I'm super proud of. So it was a slow 5+ year process between digital products working into physical products and again training my audience to be buyers. I actually see, can I just like take a question, Abby?
Absolutely, because
From
it's a
the
great
audience?
yes.
Okay, Ange said, how did you teach your readers to be a buying audience? A lot of that comes down to relationship and trust and the brand that you've established online. Um, if you are a blogger that prefers to just stay behind the computer and not really engage or interact with your audience at all, I will tell you it's more difficult to make that type of sale. Um, when it comes to being a creator in the space. People are willing to buy things from people that they feel like they know and that they can trust. So creating a product with my name on it and my face on it was one way that I really started to build that relationship with my audience. Now, this is different if you just want to create a product that's going to be its own business and its own company and stand alone apart from your brand, which is also possible. And I know that there are going to be opportunities to pursue that and talk about that in, part of this product development space that's up and coming that we're really starting to explore between Tastemaker and the Fancy Food Show. There are plenty of products out there that are just products that don't have, the creator or the brand tied to them. So it's not requisite, but to address the question, teaching my readers to be buyers was really that relationship that I'd established with them. And I did something different that a lot of people would tell me never to do, especially in the product space, is my recipe was available for free. People could literally make it at home. You did not, still to this day, you do not have to buy any of my products. You can make all of them from the recipes on my website. So what we're really selling is that convenience and ease, but also the relationship. People really want to support Hey Girl Hey. They really want to support us and our small business. And we have those conversations and we ask people to be transactional and to support this small business and to help a women owned barbecue brand grow. So there's a lot you can do in terms of messaging to really start to establish that relationship and build that transactional relationship and coach them into being buyers as they
Mhm.
support you as you grow. So it's a pretty cool and unique, way to build a relationship with people. And it takes a little bit of time, but it's been incredibly valuable for us.
Yeah, and it's just been so fascinating and inspiring to watch your journey and watch how you run your business. I think as a fellow small business owner, I think that's one piece of hidden advice that maybe we just assume everybody knows, but really focusing on like how are people running this and how are they learning and how are they growing and what are they implementing and trying and then learning to replicate that in your own business, but also realizing like there's also resources out there to help you so that you don't have to
Yeah.
keep making mistakes. But I love hearing those inside bits of information because it's helpful even from a tastemaker perspective. We also sell things. We're here because we're building this community and trying to help each
Yes.
other way, but it is a business too. And I think to build upon this conversation here, so we're talking about the audience. You had this great audience that you built, and in your situation, you have a very robust, engaged, loyal, trusting following, and I think there are a lot of people out there who do have that, who should or maybe want and should make a product if that's something that aligns with their business goals. But what about the people who maybe don't have as large of a following? Do you think that you need a really large following or the perfect idea before you can begin product development? Or what are your thoughts on that?
Um, there are multiple ways to approach product development. And
Mhm,
I have seen people develop products with just a good recipe and no social following whatsoever.
mhm,
And now, I mean, i- if you think about some of the top brands that you go into the grocery store and buy, do you
mhm,
follow them on social media? No.
mm,
Like
yeah,
it's not requisite. But you do have to realize that again, it's kind of those two worlds. Are you a creator making a food product to kind of supplement and expand your overall business? Or
mhm,
are you going to be a food company that then, has content to support your food product company? I think most of us are going to be talking about being, we're creators, digital creators first, looking to supplement and add on. So it is helpful to have an established brand. It is helpful to have a loyal following, but I don't think you need a really large following. I've seen several bloggers who are food bloggers, um, a couple of years ago approached by a marketing company and said, if we could just convert 1% of your web traffic to being buyers of the products we have on your website, you would have a multi-million dollar product company because their traffic was so high.
Yeah.
But again, like if the intent isn't there to purchase, like people are going to your website for free, maybe you do have a lot of traffic, but that's not inherently going to lead to people being buyers. You might have a social media following of 2 to 5 million people, but that doesn't mean that those people are going to be buyers of your product. A lot of the work I think comes in talking to your audience and teaching them how to be not just consumers of your content, but purchasers of your product. The intent is very different. So I think that anyone can start a product company without having a massive following. I think it more comes down to the way that you communicate with your audience that you do have, the messaging that you send to people, how great you can become at selling your product and communicating that message to your audience. I actually think that matters more than the size of your audience. Because honestly, most people, you don't want to do a first run of a product
Yeah.
to 8 million people and then sell out. Like it's better to start small and scale, in my opinion, than to go for broke on one product right out the gate. So I don't think you have to have a massive following to start, especially not getting into product development. I think it's great to work with your audience that you do have as you're developing product. We
Mhm.
brought our friends and our followers along with us during the process. We told them, hey, this is what we're making. Hey, this is what the labels look like. Look how cool we're bottling it for the first time. And we kind of counted them down to that, order, and they were really a part of that story. So, and, that was before we had large followings on any platform. So it was really great to kind of build them in from the get-go and have them be a part of the process.
Yeah. And I just think again, for any business, that storytelling behind the scenes component is so important to
Yeah.
have that personal touch point and realizing there are real people behind this. And especially in our situations, like people subscribe to you as the person and understanding part of that journey. And I think you and Todd and your whole teams do such a great job of doing that. And it's been fun to do that. So fun fact, Susie and I met in 2015. Was it 2015? Have we been friends for almost 10 years, almost a
Yes.
decade?
Yes.
So I have been around since Susie started Hey Girl Hey. And, I had my food blog and then started Tastemaker, and she's been on our board and whatnot. But it really is so fun to see your friends and encourage each other. So I also just want to throw that in here that Tastemaker is a space for building community and finding your people and cheering them on along the way, because that is also an important part of this whole process.
Yep.
Um, Next question for you, because I know people are chomping at the bit here to get the nitty-gritty of the development process and the concepts. And,
Yes.
Kevin here is wondering, how do you package and ship and all the logistics there?
Yes.
So while we can get into all of that here, this is a starting point for these conversations. Can you give us the Sparks Note version of that whole process from concept to the whatever point you were in the production and where you're at now?
Absolutely. So, I think there are three main paths for creators to take when it comes to developing product. You can either go the fully custom route where you develop, package, and distribute your own product under your own brand. That's kind of what we have with like our seasoning blends, right? We started with the recipe. I found a co-packer, which is a person that actually has all the food certifications required to safely process and package food goods. I worked with them on developing the formulation. So I'll start with a written recipe and then they will formulate it based on weight and volume. And we'll go back and forth a couple of times with the co-packer to nail down the formulations for my recipes. A lot of times this comes with a development cost, anywhere between like $250 to $1,000, depending on how many products you decide to go forward with them. Additionally, these costs are generally going to roll forward into your first production. So it's not something you just pay out of pocket. As you develop the flavor profiles, the development costs will roll into your first run of goods. Finding co-packers, Lauren's asking this question. They are difficult to find, especially if you're making smaller runs of product. Finding somebody that has been there is really valuable. I know that, the Fancy Food Show and Tastemaker are working on, the maker prep course. That could be a great resource to help you find co-packers. Going to the Fancy Food Show and asking people in the similar space that you're in who's doing their manufacturing is very valuable. That's how we found a lot of ours, was just networking. Um, I I'm not trying to like pitch anything, but we're doing some stuff on the manufacturing company for that we utilize. We're building relationships through my product company called Patio Provisions that's helping creators like you guys as well on a one-on-one consultant basis find co-packers. It can be really difficult. So networking is kind of my number one tip there. Ask people who are doing it. Googling is not going to serve you incredibly well because most co-packers aren't incredibly prolific web people, is what I have found. Their websites are generally a little bit lackluster. They don't have a ton of information. They're not very searchable. So doing a good Google search isn't going to yield you a lot of things that are super valuable.
You're telling us Google doesn't know everything, Susie?
Well,
What?
Google would know if the co-packers put the information on there, but they're so busy blending things. I don't know. They just don't have the time. But I've kind of found that to be the case. Co-packers are a little bit of an old school bunch, and they work in direct relationships more frequently than they take like online inquiries, if that makes sense. A lot of these guys would rather do a phone call or meet you in person than submit a form online, which is a little bit like for the people of us that love to be behind a computer, but it's part of it. And it's just another one of those relationships that you kind of have to build out and establish. So networking is your friend. Going to places like the Fancy Food Show and talking to other people who have created products and asking where they get their stuff made is really, really valuable. So that's step one, getting it made through a co-packer. And then most of them will have minimum order quantities, which is how many of a certain product they will manufacture for you at cost. You get them shipped to your house, or you hire a third party logistics company that will do your fulfillment. We actually do fulfillment for our own products. We also do fulfillment for other people's products. So you can reach out to us if you have questions about fulfillment as well. But that's just, somebody ordering it online and shipping it. Direct to consumer, most frequently used online sales platform is Shopify. Building your own Shopify store is a couple-hour process. It's not incredibly difficult. Luckily, if you're a food blogger or a food influencer, you're probably accustomed to taking photos, so you can get your own products photographed in your own studio or in your own house. And using your products is really natural because you're already cooking food. If you've ever done a sponsored post, you just do that, but for yourself. And then that's kind of how you move and sell product. Of course, there are a lot of other things involved in it, but that's kind of the nitty gritty is recipe development, co-packing, direct consumer sales, and fulfillment. That's kind of like the squished version. There are a couple other ways to bring products to market outside of manufacturing themselves, and those are like collaborative or co-branded products. And those ones are a little bit easier, honestly, to get your foot in the door if you can find the right brand partner. So, for example, we have a product that we co-branded with ThermalWorks, which has been one of the Tastemaker sponsors in years past. We love ThermalWorks. I've been working with them for years. We did a limited run of my favorite thermometer with a Hey Grill Hey brand, and we co-packaged it with an exclusive seasoning blend. This one, it was for sure the easiest when it comes to development because it was an existing product that we co-branded. So talking to companies that you already work with and seeing if there's opportunities for a collaborative product could be a way for you to get your foot in the door with product without carrying all of the burden of manufacturing and fulfillment because they're probably already doing that. We kind of did the same thing we did some meat shredder claws. These claws existed. We found the manufacturer of the claws that we liked the most and emailed them and just said, hey, can we change the color and put a logo on here? And they said, yeah, we can do that. We're already making them anyway. So we did a run of barbecue tools. Again, the development process there was easy because it was pre-existing. So there are ways for you to kind of shorten the steps to actually getting a product in hand. But again, it's just asking people, reaching out. We literally called the manufacturer of the claws that we liked and said, can you make us custom claws? And we worked with ThermalWorks, who we've had a relationship with for years. So there are ways to step in without doing a fully custom product and assuming all of that risk. But those are just a couple of avenues that you can pursue.
Mhm. There is so much information here and people are wanting to know all the details and we
I
don't have
know.
enough to go through all of it.
We'll do as much as we can.
And I know we want to get to those nitty-gritty details, but I also want to talk about the setbacks. I see Rachel here is also asking about that. What are your favorite failures that you have come across as there have been setbacks and those challenges that come along inevitably as they do? Because I think hearing about, failures and the successes are a really important part. So favorite failure, go.
My favorite failure was so expensive. Um, I think my favorite failure was hiring a third-party marketing firm. And a PR firm, different firms at different times, but we were building out this product company and I spent money on outsourcing instead of education. I outsourced some of my marketing and advertising and I outsourced some of my PR instead of spending money educating myself on how to be a better salesperson or educating myself on how to expand the reach of awareness for my products. And that was money wasted. The marketing firm had no idea who my audience was, despite my best efforts to explain who we are and what we do. All they saw was the amount of followers that we had online and the amount of traffic we got to our website and said, oh, this is going to be easy. But they didn't understand the unique setup of a content creator or a blogger whose audience was used to getting free content. They didn't know how to communicate to my audience in the same way that I could have. So a lot of times my marketing felt like it wasn't genuine because I was going through this third party. So that was a real bummer. That was money wasted. I would say education is always a better investment than just trying to completely outsource things. There are things that you can hire, but you cannot replace you in knowing your audience. You cannot replace you in talking about what you've built. You cannot replace you in that relationship. And I tried to do that. And it created a disconnect with my audience. It created a disconnect in my messaging. And it was about, I think it was finally 8 months before I was like, okay, this isn't working. It was a bad idea, but like tens of thousands of dollars. So it was
Mhm.
a really pricey lesson to learn. And it doesn't mean that you have to do everything yourself all of the time, but saving the important things like your relationship with your audience for yourself and outsourcing maybe other things was a really painful but valuable lesson for me to learn.
Yeah. And I think building upon what we were talking about earlier is really managing, I think, the expectations of how much work creating and developing your own product is. Can
Yeah.
you talk a little bit about what that looks like? Because I think before, we get into these, how can I build all these revenue streams? I think we have to level set and understand, is the impact that this is going to have on my business worth the effort? And is it worth all these failures? Is it worth all this money? And I mean, I think learning and failure is always valuable, but
Yep.
I'm interested to hear about your experience in managing that expectation.
Yeah, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You guys, products are hard. It's a lot of time and it's a lot of effort, not just in the development, but in the sales side of things. And I mean, you guys know, even just checking in the questions, how do you protect yourself legally? Like that was a whole workload to find the right legal team to trademark our products, to make sure our formulations were our own. And, we had the insurance necessary to sell food product. Like there are a lot of checklists that you have to hit, and all of those things had to be managed. And when you're a small business, guess who manages them? You, or you have to pay a lot to hire people to help you manage it. So I will say, we've been doing products for almost 4.5 years now, I think. It's been a slow build for us because we are doing it ourselves and we are doing it on our own. And that's just the price you pay, is it takes time. If we were to go all in full time, my whole team on the product company, that probably would have been a shorter timeline. Um, but I still had a food blog to run and I still have kids to raise and I still have a relationship to maintain and a whole life to live. So, knowing that this is a side hustle for me, I just set my expectations for growth to be a little bit slower. And it's been fine. It's something that I do in conjunction with running my food blog. But it can be as much or as little as you want it to be. These kind of co-branded products or digital products are a great way for you to dip your toe into the world of sales, see how much time it takes for you, see how much effort you're willing and able to give to this and the return that your audience is giving to you. And then you can kind of decide for yourself, like, how much am I willing to put into this? I will say I got hit by a Google update. I know all of us have experienced that on and off throughout the years, especially in the last 6 months. It's a really volatile industry, which I think is why so many people are looking towards diversifying in more kind of substantial long-term revenue streams. Um, I have never been so grateful for my product company as I have been the last 6 months.
Mhm.
Um, because even with all the volatility, I know that I can still support my family and support my team. And so the years that I've put into building it are worth it for me in the sense that I have that peace of mind. So the failures, the upsets, all the things I've learned, I'm a better food blogger now than I was. And not because, I've learned so many things about food blogging, but because I've learned a lot about business and I've learned a lot about my brand. And that's really helped me food blogging as well. Um, so I will say it's a lot of work. It is a lot of effort. You have to continually, pour into it. It is not something that is passive. Products are not a passive income stream. They are not a passive form of revenue. They are a very active form of revenue. But what I love about products is I feel like the effort that I put in can be measured in revenue generated. If I really work hard on developing a product and pushing sales on the launch for that product, I can see that return come back in and I can bank on that. And it's a little bit more consistent for sure than what I would say I've seen in the digital media, food blogging space. So it's been a worthy investment for me. It has been a lot of work, lots of ups and downs. But I think there are ways for everybody, regardless of your size, regardless of your follower count, to start dipping your toes into the world of product, even if it is digital, to just, see if you can engage with your audience in a way that you will sell them something, and see what that kind of response and interaction is. And then the maker prep course that the fancy food show or the Specialty Food Association and Tastemaker are putting on. If you really are interested in product, I will say a couple $100 investment is way more affordable to start digging deeper and seeing if that's a real true path that you're interested in pursuing. Um, I wish I had something like that because we spent a good 2 years just navigating choppy waters without a lot of resources. So, having a creative circle, having a piece of support, having a group that can cheer you on and hold you accountable and help you, find resources is really valuable.
Totally. Not to totally backtrack here, but I really like this question again. Rachel, you're just always coming in with all the great questions. But I think it's important, right? It's like how do I understand, right? How do you determine your unique value proposition as a blogger or as a creator when looking at what product could I create to serve my audience? Like, how did that process look for you?
Um, I was spoiled because my audience said, please make this for me. But what I will tell you and what I have learned from every product that I have rolled out since then is your audience loves to tell you things. People love to share their opinions. Um, I mean, I wouldn't say we get these all the time. I wouldn't say like send out a survey, like, please take 5 minutes of your time and answer this question. But your most loyal followers are probably in your Instagram stories or they're probably on your email list. Shoot them one question and say, hey, if I were to develop a product, would you like to see this, this, or this, A, B, C, or D? And
Mhm,
let them respond. Your audience, the people that are going to buy from you are already following you, especially in the beginning.
mhm.
We've since grown our product company to now lots of people are buying us that maybe never even followed us in the first place, but that is not how we started. We started selling directly to the people that knew about us. So asking them, hey, What can I show you? Maybe don't make them do all of the work, but bring 3 or 4 ideas that you have and say, which is the most interesting to you? Which is the most fascinating to you? Or when you think about, for example, I would say, when you think about Hey Grill, Hey, what do you think of first? And I'll give them a couple of options. That'll really help you hone in on your unique value proposition, on what sets you apart, on what your audience comes to you for, and what type of products might best suit them and their needs. So ask your people, make it a conversation. The same way we want you guys to engage in the chat, that helps us better tailor this webinar to what you're asking. Do that for your audience. Serve them directly. Communicate with them directly. Don't be a far off, untouchable, unreachable presence.
Mhm.
I think that my products have made it as far as they have because people feel like I'm in their home with them. We're in the backyard, we're cooking together, whether it's a recipe or whether they're shaking some of my seasoning on their burgers. Like, it feels relational. It feels not just a transaction of money, but a transaction of time and energy and effort and attention. And people love going on these journeys with you. So use your audience, communicate with your audience. You know who you are and what you love and what you care about, but that's not always reflected in how your audience sees you. And so getting feedback on how they see you and what they really want and need from you can be incredibly valuable as you start to develop products. They will tell you a lot about, you know, what they want from you.
Yeah, it is such an iterative process. I think
Yeah.
surveying, like even in our own business here in Tastemaker, like we have developed it based off of complete feedback, right? The entire thing is built off of that and understanding that transactional relationship, but it doesn't have, because I think sometimes, at least for me, when I used to hear that word, like this is transactional, it felt so sterile and cold. I think just
I think relational, that
yes,
relationship
relational,
based.
better word for that. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It's a give and take.
So we keep having a few questions about the legal side of things. So
Yeah.
Tony, I know you saw that. How do you protect yourself legally through the whole process? Lori is also asking, how did you find your legal team for going into products? And was that networking as well?
I mean, the one good thing that came out of hiring our marketing team that I paid tens of thousands of dollars for was they linked us up with a good legal firm. But
Wasn't
I
all
would,
lost.
yeah, the good news is lawyers love websites, I have learned. Those are one of the things that you can Google. I would specifically focus on the legal things, on copyright law. I think that's the most important thing when it comes to product development, to protect your brand, to protect your trademark, to protect your logos and your service marks. So that's Google copyright law in your state and read some independent business reviews to find a legal team. Call a couple of them. A lot of them will do free consultation phone calls, and see if you find somebody that's a really good fit for you. Our legal team has been awesome. They ended up buying all of our products actually for their corporate gifts for Christmas one year.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah, they're fantastic. So you can find people that you can build a really good working relationship with. We did interview a couple and we called a couple. So that's something that you can Google and start looking up. But I would start by looking up copyright law. And then there are a couple other things protecting ourselves legally. Um, we do work with the FDA and the US Department of Agriculture because we are shipping. We are a fulfillment company that's shipping. So if you do your own fulfillment and shipping, your state has published guidelines online. All of them are legally required to. So again, doing some Googling there to help you find the specific legal requirements for your state when it comes to fulfillment of food products is important. And then a lot of times you also need insurance to cover yourself and your business. Um, so that's something that we actually set up. We have business insurance. We called our business insurance provider and said, hey, this is what we're adding onto our business. What additional coverage do we need? And they helped us navigate that. So there are a lot of resources that you probably already have relationships for that you can kind of just lean into.
That's great. Well, we are coming close to our end of time and have a few other things we want to talk about here. And I think to lead into that, the networking and the relationships, and all these questions that we have about the details of this, that networking part is so important. And if you all want to be able to ask Susie more of these. She is going to be on the panel at the influencer panel at the Summer Fancy Food Show, which is taking place in New York City. I will be moderating it. Tony's going to be on it. You're here, Tony, Susie, Roslyn, Daniels, and then Yumna Jawad from Feel Good Foodie, who also has her own food product. I think
She does.
so. There are just so many creators, I think, definitely moving into this space, and we are seeing this. As Susie was saying, this is the beginning of the new conversion from the digital to the brick and mortar. And I think it is such an important part of this journey as creators as we are building sustainable businesses. So you get to see Susie there if you're coming to that, and all tastemaker people and folks, you get media tickets to that. But we also do really value our relationships and having partnerships with organizations and companies who can genuinely help you, as Susie's been talking about. The Maker Prep cohort and course that's happening right now with them is super helpful in giving you a lot of these answers, these nitty-gritty things you're asking in the comments here. So Leana, who is with the Specialty Food Association, is here to give you a little bit more information about that, what you could expect from it, if it's something that's right for you, and the details they have. They have their early bird pricing still going on through April 30th, but she's going to share a little bit about how all the questions you have and how they can help you. Leana, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Abby. And thanks for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk a little bit with this group about some of the resources that SFA brings to bear for exactly what you're talking about today. Those not familiar, the Specialty Food Association is a nonprofit organization, and our whole mission is about supporting what we call makers, which are the producers of specialty food products. And the biggest way that we do that is by championing the development and bring to market of new specialty food products. In that vein, for years, we've offered educational offerings, resources to help emerging makers navigate kind of the ins and outs of everything you're talking about here today. But I'm very excited to talk about the Maker Prep course, which is really a concept where we took a lot of our educational resources and packaged them together in kind of a more structured quasi-curriculum. So that rather than asking folks to kind of self-navigate their way through the information, we're taking a more active role in really guiding folks through the process over the course of about 6 months. And in doing so, creating a community and a support system for folks to participate in as they're really thinking about if this is the right next step for them in their journey. So the Maker Prep course is a 6-month course that will kick off at the Fancy Food Show in New York City this summer in June. And what we're going to do is bring a cohort, or what I like to call a class, almost like a college class, if you will, together around education, but also real immersion in the industry. So show floor tours, opportunities to talk with other makers, with buyers, with folks who are part of the industry, and get a feel for what it's all about. And then following the Summer Fancy Food Show, over the course of about 6 months, participants will have open access to a series of modules that you'll continue to learn from and consume over that time frame. We'll offer some guidance around kind of the pace and the order that you want to go through these things, but there's a certain degree of self-directed learning if that's preferable to you as well. But we're going to keep up the community and the support system by holding monthly opportunities for folks to come together virtually or even on their own through Slack channels related to getting insights, information, and answers to questions from some of the experts that we have on hand. And then the goal is to bring our class back together at the Winter Fancy Food Show in Las Vegas in January, which, as Abby mentioned, Tastemaker Conference will be co-locating with, to have a graduation celebration and create some opportunity for our graduating class to showcase their product ideas. And that could take a lot of different forms depending on where folks are at in their journey, everything from an actual tasting opportunity to a simple display case to just conversations about the concept and kind of where it's at. So that is the Maker Prep course. And I will say that as part of signing up for that, it does include a complimentary 1-year membership in the Specialty Food Association. So outside of the Maker Prep course, that gives you access to everything from additional education to regular data and trends reports that are out there to a whole slew of industry directories. I'm hearing questions about co-packing and about legal resources, and we maintain up-to-date directories of all those types of resources for our members. So full access to all of those things starts on day one of registering for the Maker Prep course.
All right. Well, we already have questions, Leana. There are people in here who have signed up who are like, I need more information about this. Because this is just really, I think this is the resource that we hear the things that people have been asking for and addressing their pain points. Like, we need help here.
Yeah.
So Jimmy is wondering, is the Maker Prep course kickoff during the same days of the food show, or should we plan some extra time?
It is during the same days as the Fancy Food Show. So what we'll do is on Sunday and Monday, we'll bring folks together for the first part of the day from I think maybe 8 a.m. until 11 to do education. And then we'll have some structured activities in the afternoon, but also opportunity for folks to just kind of walk around and get to know the industry and meet people. It's an incredibly incredible community to be part of. And I feel like Tastemaker and the specialty food community are really cut from the same cloth in how they really support one another.
Absolutely. And there have been some questions too about the nature of the course. Do you have to be attending in person in New York City if you do sign up for it, or is there an option to do everything online? Is that a
There is an option to do everything online. So you can go ahead and sign up for it the same way you would sign up for it if you are coming to New York. And then you will just consume the content online instead of the in-person portion of it. You'll still have access to all of the, virtual get-togethers that happen, as well as the Slack channel and everything else. So you'll still be part of the larger class community.
Right. Yeah. So once again, to reiterate, not mandatory that you are in New York City to be a part of this, or even in Vegas. This just simply exists as a resource if this is a very serious consideration of yours that you are wanting to develop a product.
I will
And
say
so-
if it is a serious consideration for you, going to a show where food products that are going to be really in line with the type of product you would hope to develop is incredibly valuable. Seeing what's on the market, seeing what type of effort goes into, getting a product out into the world, is really eye-opening. And again, the networking, you have an opportunity to meet people that are doing what you want to do and have already crossed a lot of the bridges you need to cross. And that's incredibly valuable.
I've noticed too in my time here, and I haven't been with SFA that long, but it is helpful to see what you'll see on our show floor is some of the different stages that folks go through. So we have folks who are participating by virtue of their involvement in an incubator kitchen, where they're not necessarily at market yet, but they're working with a test kitchen to kind of, figure out their formulation and whatnot. So you'll have people who are at that stage of the game. You'll have people who are in our startup section where they're not ready for a big Whole Foods order. They're looking for distribution, they're looking for investment, and so that's the stage that they're at in the journey, all the way up to kind of, those folks who are full-fledged. So it's a nice way to take a look at what some of the different stages are and get you comfortable with knowing that these are the gradual degrees that you're going to go through. You're not going to go from 0, all the way to 100, in the first year.
Love that. So it is helpful to attend, but not a prerequisite, but encouraged. And I would like to let you all know that the Specialty Food Association has given a generous early bird discount to all of you for the Maker Prep course they have. So it is normally $3.99. It's $100 off using code TASTEMAKER. If Daphne can drop the link in here directly to that, if you want to read a little bit more about the Maker Prep course and that information. We will also be this will be live on the collaborative too, so you can rewatch all of this for Susie's tips and get any of this information. We'll also include all of those links and discount codes and send you emails. You will definitely be hearing from us. But I also want to let you know too, the VIP ticket early bird that we have going on through Tastemaker includes the Maker Prep course in addition to your ticket for Vegas and excursions and one-on-ones and all the good things that I'm not going to tell you all the things you have there, but just want to let you know really about your options here. Because overall, our goal is to support you and give you options and resources that work for you with wherever you're at in your business journey, in your budgets, or whatever that may be. We're here for you and want to support you. And like Leana was saying, and Susie's been saying, champion you and really help you build that community and networking. So all of those details are there, but I just want to give a huge thank you to Leana. Thank you to Susie for sharing your expertise. We appreciate you so much. And thank you for this community and everybody who tuned in today. So thank you, Susie.
Thanks for having me, guys. It was good to see you. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. An email is just susie@heygrillhey.com. But yeah, this is,
Yes.
it's a lot of information, but it's been a really valuable path for me in my business. So I would love to help as many people as I can who are, seriously considering walking that road.
And where can they find you? That's your email, but where else can they find you, Susie, on social too? If they're not already?
Social at Hey Grill Hey.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you everybody for your time, and we will see you all next time.
Bye-bye.